My name is Elvinah and I'm a researcher in television, working on unscripted shows like MasterChef, Future Food Stars and Cooking with the Stars, and as well as medical shows like 24 Hours in A&E. I wouldn't really put it in terms of negative or positive. I think there's a little bit of both. Positive is that I can definitely see that there are more and more people from ethnic background going into the industry, which is such a positive because it really does shape the way we tell stories in television. But negative in the way that sometimes it's hard being on sets, and there are still times where I'm the only black person, or where there will be some more black person, but I remember I was working on the show and there were more people called Joe than there were actually people of colors. And then I felt like, oh, we're still not really there, but we are definitely making progress, yeah. Most of the time, people don't even realize that they have it or that they prefer maybe certain type of people in certain roles. For example, now we are talking about race and ethnicity, but I tend to realize this more when it comes to gender as well. I've worked on a lot of shows, and I'd say maybe all of them, the director was a white male. And I think there was only one show where it was actually a black male, and I was like, oh, okay, there are roles that are very stereotypical that would go to certain people. So I think there's still some barrier that we need to break down. But yeah, like I say, I'm hoping that it's changing, but it will take time because I think the same people are still in power, and they are the one making the decision, they are the one hiring the people, and if they still have those biases, well, it's going to continue like that. So that's why I'm hoping more young people are coming into the industry, aware of the bias and knowing how to change them. Um, I'd say the industry as a whole is really trying to move forward. When we get hired or when people hire crews, they always try to look at the diversity quota, sending like surveys to see how diverse the industry is. So, and company do receive the result of those surveys. So in a way, some of them are aware. Now the question is, I think for them is how do they change that? Sometimes they're not really thinking about it when they're trying to crew. Sometimes they just bring back crews that they've worked with, people in the industry that they know, and in general the industry is pretty white. So if they're just bringing back people that they know, then it's gonna be the same people coming back, the same ethnicity as well. So it is changing, but like I say, a lot of conscious sometimes and most time unconscious biases that are not really helping the situation. I think my definition of diversity is just people who have different life experience, and especially when you're working in a creative industry like that, your experience, you bring a lot of that into the things that you're creating. You bring a lot of that into the script that you're going to be writing, in the jokes you're going to be giving to your presenters, in everything. Even if you're working as a art director, you're going to bring that inspiration. So we definitely need diversity in order to create different stuff, create different programs. And I think that's something that people don't really understand. They think that diversity is just something that we're trying to push or to be politically correct, when in fact it's the diversity of people working in this industry that makes great shows. Yeah, so like I say, the benefit definitely creating more innovative shows and having different points of view, especially when you're telling stories. Especially in this country, I think we are so lucky to have such a diverse population, and I feel like if it's only the same people creating stories and telling stories, they're definitely gonna choose their the stories they want to tell. So while if you have a more diverse creative group, they might have different ideas of how to tell stories, or they might see other stories that need to be told that would have never been found otherwise. So it's so important for the diversity, and yeah. I think my proudest moment, um, that's a hard one because I feel like every show I work on, there's always like that moment where I feel so proud. But I think one of my proudest moments was when I worked on Bake Off as a runner. It was one of the first, one of my first credits, and so I was in that kitchen, that famous Bake Off kitchen, and I'd been put in charge of arranging all the benches, so making sure that all the chefs had all the utensils, all the mixer, that it was set correctly for that very first episode. And so I had a team, a few people helping me, and I had to like direct everyone like, okay, it needs to be that way, and then checking, triple checking again, everything. And then when it was finally done and I was in the middle of that kitchen, I was like, this is my work. This is gonna be seen on the very first episode of Bake Off. And I felt incredibly proud, and I think that's kind of those moments that push me to continue in that industry. And so I think the advice I would give to people is don't give up if you really want to do it, if that's something you're passionate about, if telling stories or working in that creative industry is something that you want to do. Really don't give up, because it gets very hard, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes you're not gonna like the people you work with, sometimes you're not gonna like the shows you work in, or at least you're not gonna be the proudest. I've worked on a dating show and I just thought, this is the worst concept ever, why am I working on that? Sometimes it's gonna be hard as well to find jobs because it's freelance, so you always have to apply for jobs, to look and to make connection, and it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of your energy. But once you get used to it, it can roll itself. So yeah, just go for it and show that you're passionate, be passionate, and yeah, get on. Get on with it. I'd say it's a little bit of everyone, but mostly the people at the top, people who are hiring the crew. So be production manager, series director, series producer, all of those people are making decision. But like I say, most of the time they're not gonna look at the ethnicity of the person they are hiring. They're gonna mostly look at if they know the person, if they worked with them before, or someone who's qualified on paper, which is good. But like I say, there is always a chance of unconscious bias. But again, like I say, we are making some progress because there are some really great organizations pushing for change. Like I say, there are some people pushing for more diversity in the industry, and there's a great website called Creative Access who's always posting jobs, and they always mention that those jobs are for people coming from a different background, whether it's gender, class, or ethnicity, and it's really good that there are more opportunities so people know where to find them.